My precious one, lean in for a moment, because what I'm about to reveal will shake the air around you. Archangel Michael is sounding an alarm over your life, and his words carry the weight of heaven. Be careful. It's an emergency. These were the first thunder-like whispers released into your spirit realm, because something hidden is finally surfacing and the identity of a woman who wants to harm you is being exposed. This is not fear speaking. This is not paranoia. This is divine revelation, arriving exactly when you need it most. Michael does not come unless the matter is urgent. And today, he comes holding a scroll with your name written on its edge and a shadow behind it that is about to be unmasked. Listen carefully, because things around you have not been random. The strange tension in the room, the sudden change in someone's behavior, a heavy feeling you couldn't explain. All of it has been pointing to one truth. Someone with the appearance of kindness has been carrying an intention of harm toward you. And Archangel Michael says the time of hiding is over. He leans close, his voice like steel wrapped in compassion, and he says, the identity of this woman is coming into the light. Her first name begins with a letter you have already been sensing. You have seen signs. You have felt whispers in your spirit. You may have dismissed it as imagination, but heaven never speaks without reason. As Archangel Michael steps forward in this message, he holds his sword downward, not in wrath, but in protection. You are not alone in this battle. You have been shielded even when you didn't realize danger was near. Someone tried to speak against you. Someone attempted to distort your reputation, your relationships, your peace. But every plan has been intercepted before it reached its target. There is a reason your dreams have been intense lately. A reason you have felt watched. A reason your energy has been drained after speaking to certain people. Because this woman had been operating in secrecy, but secrecy cannot survive divine light. Michael says, what was whispered in darkness is about to echo in daylight. Now, I want you to pay attention to this next part, because this is where the revelation becomes personal. You have noticed one particular woman whose presence always feels off. She may smile, she may pretend, but her energy never matches her words. And deep down something inside you tightens around her. You may not want to believe she could be the one, but heaven is showing the truth. Look back. How many times has she asked questions that felt too invasive? How many times has she inserted herself into situations that didn't concern her? How many times has she acted supportive, yet your spirit felt drained when she left? This is not coincidence. This is discernment. Archangel Michael reveals that her identity begins with a specific letter, a letter that will strike your heart as soon as you hear it. Heaven is not exposing this to create fear, but to bring closure to a cycle of hidden opposition. The moment you learn this initial, you will feel something unlock inside you. A weight will fall. A truth will stand. But before revealing the letter, Michael urges you to prepare your heart. Because when heaven exposes, it always protects you first. You are being lifted into a season where hidden enemies can no longer walk beside you disguised as friends. A season where masks fall off. A season where truth becomes your shield. There is something else Archangel Michael shows. Your destiny is shifting, and whenever destiny shifts, opposition rises. Someone sensed your elevation before you did. Someone felt threatened by the favors surrounding you. Someone tried to interfere with what belongs to you. But child, hear this clearly. They cannot stop what God has commanded. They cannot touch what heaven has sealed. They cannot rewrite the story written for your life. Michael's presence here is proof that you are chosen, protected, and carried. I'll breathe for a moment because what comes next is heavier than the rest. Heaven says, the initial of this woman will be revealed to you suddenly. Through a conversation, through a thought, through a sign. You will not miss it. Before the revelation arrives, your spirit will feel a shift, a sudden clarity, a moment where everything clicks. And when it does, you will understand why heaven called this an emergency. Not because you are in danger, but because a chapter is ending and a new one requires her absence. This exposure is not punishment, it is protection. Michael wants you to know that once this identity is revealed, peace will return to your home, your mind, and your relationships. The tension you've been feeling is not permanent. It is the last vibration of a spiritual thread being cut. You are about to step into clarity so strong that confusion will no longer have access to you. Beloved heart, take a slow breath as we enter deeper into this revelation, because Archangel Michael is still standing guard beside you, watching every thread of the situation with unwavering vigilance. The emergency he announced is not meant to frighten you. It is meant to awaken you. You are stepping into a moment where heaven insists that nothing hidden will remain hidden. And as Michael moves closer, the atmosphere around you begins to shift. It feels like a veil lifting, like pressure releasing, like a truth long denied finally stretching its wings. This is the moment your spiritual eyes begin to open wider than before. You may have wondered why certain relationships have felt unstable lately, why someone's tone has changed toward you, or why you have sensed subtle jealousy in places where you expected support. The truth is, this woman has been moving quietly, hoping you would never notice the patterns unfolding. But when Archangel Michael enters a situation, concealment loses its power. What she intended to keep in darkness is already trembling before the light of exposure. Michael is not just revealing her motives, he is revealing her fear. She targeted you because she recognized something you have not fully seen in yourself. Your light unsettles those who operate in shadows. Your purpose irritates those who lack direction. Your growth threatens those who are unwilling to grow alongside you. There is something sacred rising within you, and this woman sensed it before you did. That is why her attitude shifted. That is why her words carried hidden undertones. That is why her actions began to contradict her expressions. She tried to mask her intentions with politeness, yet her spirit could not fully disguise what was brewing beneath the surface. Archangel Michael wants you to understand that the pressure you felt was spiritual, not emotional. You have been walking with an unseen shield around you. This is why her attempts to influence your mind or relationships have repeatedly failed. Heaven did not allow her plans to take root. The ground she tried to plant, confusion in, was already blessed, already protected, already watched over. Michael now speaks with a tone that is firm yet filled with deep love. He says you must pay attention to the patterns, because they contain the clues to her identity. Remember the sudden distance that appeared between you. Remember how she reacted the moment good news came into your life. Remember how she listened more to gather information than to celebrate you. These small details were not accidents, they were signals. You felt them for a reason. You noticed them because your spirit was already being guided. Every uneasy moment, every strange encounter, every shift in energy was heaven preparing you for this revelation. And now, as the veil thins even more, Michael shows that her involvement in your life has reached a turning point. She no longer has the access she once had. She no longer carries the influence she hoped to maintain. Her attempts to shadow your blessings have been intercepted by a force far greater than her intentions. You may have thought you were battling confusion or tension, but what you were truly experiencing was Archangel Michael standing between you and the harm she wished to create. Every closed door was protection. Every delayed conversation was protection. Every sudden pause in communication was protection. But here is where the message deepens. You are being prepared to release this person fully. Heaven is removing her attachment to your path because your future cannot afford her presence. There is a calling on your life that she cannot walk into. There is a breakthrough approaching that she cannot witness. Her motives do not align with the destiny unfolding before you. And because of this, Michael is initiating a divine separation. You may feel the distance growing. You may feel the disconnection strengthening. Do not fear it. Do not resist it. It is heaven's hand moving gently but firmly on your behalf. What comes next is a moment of clarity so profound that you will recognize it instantly. The initial of her name will echo in your spirit with certainty. You will not guess, you will know. And when the awareness arrives, it will not bring pain. Instead, it will feel like exhaling after holding your breath for too long. The revelation will free you, not burden you. Michael is preparing you for emotional release, spiritual cleansing, and mental clarity. He is orchestrating a shift that will place you back into alignment with your peace. But before this clarity arrives, Michael urges you to strengthen your connection with truth, with discernment, with awareness. Stay conscious of who enters your space. Pay attention to how your spirit reacts to each individual. Your intuition is not random. It is a divine instrument. Every time something feels off, every time someone's presence drains your energy, every time your spirit tightens without explanation, heaven is speaking. And now, more than ever, you must listen. If this message is resonating deep within your spirit, if you are sensing that this revelation is unlocking something long buried, then I want you to help this message reach the people who need it. Like this video so the message of truth rises above the noise. Comment so the algorithm pushes this clarity to others who are silently battling hidden opposition. Share it to support someone who might be completely unaware of the spiritual attack near them. And if you haven't already, subscribe and stay connected, because Archangel Michael's warnings and revelations continue unfolding with divine precision, and you do not want to miss the next release. Beloved soul, step quietly into this moment, because what Archangel Michael begins to unfold here carries the strongest wave of truth yet. You may already feel it in your spirit, a kind of stillness mixed with anticipation, as if something inside you knows the revelation is close. That is not imagination. That is alignment. Michael is drawing you deeper into the mystery, preparing you for the moment when the identity of this woman is no longer a shadow, but a name your heart instantly recognizes. There is a reason the atmosphere around you has felt unusually sensitive. You may have noticed that small conversations weigh more heavily than expected, or that someone's presence brings a sudden shift in the room. It is because your spirit already knows who this woman is. Your intuition has been showing you signs. Your dreams have been leaving hints. Your heart has been whispering warnings long before words were spoken aloud. But heaven does not reveal until the spirit is ready to receive. And today, readiness meets revelation. Archangel Michael now steps into the center of this moment with a gentleness that contrasts the severity of his warning. He is not here to frighten you, he is here to free you. He shows you that this woman had been circling your blessings like someone waiting for an opportunity that does not belong to her. Whether through jealousy, insecurity, or hidden resentment, she has sought to create imbalance in your path. And though she may appear calm on the surface, her spirit has been in conflict with your elevation. Somewhere deep within you, you have already felt the friction she carries. There have been moments when her compliments sounded hollow, times when her questions felt too pointed, interactions where her smile did not quite reach her eyes. You may have dismissed these signs, telling yourself you were overthinking, trying to give her the benefit of the doubt. But heaven sees beyond faces. Heaven sees intentions. Heaven sees what the natural eye refuses to acknowledge. Michael reveals that this woman's discomfort with you began the moment she sensed your spiritual awakening. She noticed the change in your confidence. She felt the growth in your energy. She saw the doors beginning to open for you. And instead of celebrating, something within her grew unsettled. She feared being left behind. She feared losing her influence. She feared the light in you that she could never replicate. This fear turned into quiet opposition, silent resentment, and hidden attempts to disrupt the peace you carry so naturally. But here is the truth. Her influence stops now. Michael says her presence no longer holds the power it once did. The spiritual threads attaching her energy to yours are being cut one by one. The moments of confusion she triggered are dissolving. The emotional weight she brought is lifting. Heaven has declared that your path must be cleared of every connection that was not built in truth. And so, this revelation comes as a gift, not a burden. You may wonder why the initial of her name matters. Michael explains that the initial is not meant to expose her for revenge. It is meant to awaken your discernment. Once you recognize the first letter, your spirit will pull the rest of the truth into place effortlessly. This is not about blaming her. This is about freeing yourself. You are entering a season where clarity will become your constant companion, and confusion will have no place near your spirit. But before the initial reveals itself fully, Michael asks you to reflect on one thing. The shift you feel is not a warning of danger, but a sign of elevation. When God raises someone higher, not everyone around them can rise with them. Some people cling to you out of familiarity, yet their hearts are not aligned with your future. This woman cannot walk with you into the next chapter because the chapter you're entering requires purity of intention, strength of faith, and honesty in every relationship. You may notice that communication with her begins to feel strained. You may realize that conversations that once flowed now feel forced. You may sense a sudden need for distance without knowing why. These are divine indicators. Heaven is already moving things into position, gently shifting you away from her influence and into a space where your spirit can breathe again. And as this shift occurs, I must remind you of something important. This message is unfolding with divine timing. The revelation is approaching its peak, and what comes next will unlock understanding you have been waiting for. Before we step into that moment, hold this truth. You are protected. You are guided. You are watched over. Nothing formed against you has succeeded, and nothing will. Now, before I release the next wave of this message, speak this into the atmosphere if it resonates with your spirit. Type "I receive the mystery" in the comments if this message is unveiling something inside you. Lesson code 444 is being released over your discernment. Just as Archangel Michael exposes what was hidden, this mission is about bringing light to those who walk through spiritual darkness without guidance. When you support this work, you are not giving to a channel. You are sowing into a movement that rescues souls from confusion and spiritual attacks. The word says that those who refresh others will themselves be refreshed, and today that promise comes alive for every giver. I feel led to say this clearly. Your support becomes a stream of living water that carries revelation to someone who desperately needs it. This is my heart speaking to you now, inviting you into this sacred moment of impact. Let your seed be your declaration that light will continue to break through the shadows. Heaven marks the ones who give to divine assignments, and a blessing always follows obedience. You super thanks. Join membership with a PayPal link in the description, and step boldly into the harvest God releases over givers. Dearest heart, come closer now, because the realm of revelation is deepening, and Archangel Michael is still standing beside you with unwavering authority. The air around this message is shifting again, almost as if heaven is preparing to lift another layer of truth from your path. You may feel a strange warmth building in your chest or a sense of focus sharpening in your mind. These sensations are not coincidences. They are signs that your spirit is aligning with what is about to be unveiled. Michael is guiding you gently but firmly into a space where clarity becomes undeniable. You have been walking through a season where people's intentions have been revealed slowly, like curtains moving with the wind, showing glimpses of what lies behind them. Some individuals have stepped forward in sincerity, while others have shown cracks in their disguise. This woman, whose identity heaven is bringing to the surface, had been trying to maintain her facade, hoping her true motives would remain unseen. But heaven has declared that her time of masking is finished. You are being awakened to see her not through the lens of emotions, but through the eyes of discernment. Michael shows that she has been watching your movements more closely than you realized. This is not admiration, it is monitoring. She pays attention to your blessings, your opportunities, your relationships, and your spiritual growth. It is almost as if she believes that if she can anticipate your steps, she can interfere with them. But what she does not understand is that your path is divinely orchestrated. Your steps are ordered by a higher authority, and no human attempt can rewrite what heaven has written. She has tried to insert herself into places you outgrew, hoping to maintain a connection that no longer serves your spirit. But heaven is pruning your surroundings so your destiny has room to flourish. There were moments when her words carried subtle negativity, disguised as concern. She may have spoken sentences that made you doubt yourself, question your decisions, or feel discouraged right when breakthroughs were approaching. This was not accidental. Her spirit was reacting to your elevation. A rising soul often awakens hidden insecurities in those around them. Michael reveals that she became uncomfortable watching you transform into someone she could no longer control, influence, or compare herself to. Your uneasiness turned into quiet resentment, and resentment turned into subtle actions meant to slow your momentum. But here's where heaven steps in. Every attempt she made has already failed. Anything she whispered has already been overturned. Anything she hoped would collapse has already been reinforced. Archangel Michael hath been stationed around your life like a wall of fire, blocking sabotage, confusion, and emotional manipulation before it could reach you. You may not have seen the battles, but you have felt the protection. Times when you suddenly lost desire to share your good news. Times when you felt led to stay silent. Times when you held back your plans without knowing why. This was divine interception. Heaven was shielding your blessings from the wrong eyes. Now Michael leans closer in this revelation, and his presence becomes stronger, almost as if the next truth requires even greater protection. He shows that the woman in question has been attempting to keep a spiritual tie to you, one built not on love but on insecurity. She has been drawing energy from your light while offering nothing nourishing in return. Every time she connected with you, you felt drained. Every time she left, you felt an unexplained heaviness. These symptoms were your spirit's warning signs. Heaven has been trying to show you that not every connection deserves access to your atmosphere. And now, the revelation sharpens further. The initial of her name is approaching like a whisper traveling through your thoughts. You may have sensed a letter rising in your mind recently, perhaps through dreams, conversations, or sudden inner impressions. Michael says the reason it keeps appearing is because heaven has already begun unveiling her. The exposure is not coming. It has started. And soon, the full recognition will strike you with clarity so strong that doubt will have no room to exist. You will know exactly who she is. But before that moment arrives, Michael prepares your heart for the shift that follows. The exposure will change the dynamic of your environment. You will feel lighter. You will feel freer. You will feel more aligned. Someone who once occupied emotional or mental space will no longer hold the same influence. This is heaven creating room for peace to breathe again within you. This is heaven restoring balance to your spirit. This is heaven elevating your discernment so sharply that you will never again ignore the warning signs of disguised intentions. Michael also reveals something important. Once this identity becomes clear, your path forward will accelerate. What was delayed will move. What was stuck will open. What was aware will become simple. Her presence created spiritual friction, and the moment she is fully removed energetically, that friction breaks. You will walk with a sense of ease you have not felt in months. You will notice your intuition strengthening, your confidence returning, and your joy rising. Heaven is not exposing this woman to create conflict. Heaven is removing what was blocking your blessings. And beloved, you must stay with this message closely, because the next wave of revelation begins to move with even greater intensity. What awaits you will tie every thread together. Before we reach that moment, remain present, remain alert, and remain connected. Something powerful is about to shift on your behalf. Beloved one, step with intention into this next unfolding, because Archangel Michael is guiding you through a corridor of truth where everything begins to make sense. The atmosphere around you may feel heavier, not with fear, but with revelation pressing forward. It is the weight of what you were never meant to carry being lifted from your spirit. You may even feel a quiet stirring inside, as if your intuition is already preparing you for what comes next. That inner movement is heaven's confirmation. You are entering the heart of this message. Michael now reveals something profound. The woman whose identity is being unveiled did not simply appear in your life by accident. She was drawn to your light, your resilience, your ability to rise even in seasons where others would have fallen. You may have thought she admired you, but admiration slowly shifted into comparison, and comparison slowly twisted into jealousy. This was not because you did anything wrong. It was because your presence awakened something in her that she could no longer suppress. Your growth highlighted her stagnation. Your peace highlighted her chaos. Your clarity highlighted her confusion. There were moments when you felt her energy shift, even though she said nothing. You sensed the tension behind her smile. You felt the discomfort that lingered after certain conversations. Yet you kept giving the benefit of the doubt, believing you were misreading the signs. But heaven saw what you could not. Michael shows that her intentions were never fully pure, even in the moments where she acted supportive. A hidden root of envy had already begun shaping her thoughts. Instead of confronting her insecurity, she let it spiral into quiet resentment. This resentment led her to speak against you in small, subtle ways. Nothing loud, nothing obvious. She chose whispers, not accusations. She used questions to sow doubt about you in the minds of others. He used half-truths to create uncertainty. She wanted to see whether your relationships could be shaken, whether your confidence could be cracked, whether your peace could be pulled apart. But what she didn't understand is that you were never standing alone. Archangel Michael had already taken his position around your life. Every time she spoke a word meant to undermine you, he returned to her empty. Every time she tried to twist a situation, heaven straightened it. Every attempt she made to dim your light only emphasized how brightly you were destined to shine. Michael reveals that he has been silencing your influence long before you realized it existed. She thought she was planting seeds, yet none of them bore fruit. Heaven did not allow it. You may not have heard what she said, but your spirit felt the residue. You woke up on certain days feeling heavy without reason. You sensed distance in relationships that previously felt effortless. You felt confused in moments that should have been joyful. These were symptoms of spiritual interference. But the reason the heaviness never turned into long-term damage is because Archangel Michael kept intervening, breaking the effects before they took root. Now Michael brings another layer of truth into the light. She is aware that something is shifting. Even if she does not understand it fully, she can feel heaven pulling you away from her influence. She feels the distance growing. He senses the Venetian weakening. She knows the access she once had is disappearing. This awareness makes her restless, but it also exposes her intentions more clearly than ever before. You will notice her behavior becoming more revealing in the days to come. She may try to appear overly concerned. She may try to reinsert herself into your life. She may try to reconnect through conversation or curiosity. Not because she cares, but because she fears losing the position she once held. But Michael says that heaven has already made the decision. There is no going back to what was. The divine separation is in motion. The exposure is unfolding, and your spirit is being cleansed of every attachment that was born from insecurity rather than genuine love. Once this woman's identity becomes fully clear to you, the door will close, not by your choice alone, but by divine decree. Michael now shows a prophetic glimpse. The moment the initial of her name becomes undeniable, you will experience a sudden surge of clarity. It will feel like a breath you did not know you were holding finally being released. Thoughts that once felt tangled will become simple. Questions that lingered in your mind will be answered without needing to ask. The weight that has been quietly pressing on your emotional state will lift instantly. This is because knowing the truth frees the spirit. Revelation removes spiritual toxins. And here is where the message grows even deeper. Once she is fully removed from your environment, your path will accelerate in a way you may not expect. New connections will appear. New opportunities will open. New insights will rise within you. Michael says that her presence created spiritual static around your destiny, and now that the static is being removed, your steps will become clearer, faster, and more aligned with the purpose heaven has been preparing you for. What awaits you is not merely freedom, but elevation. This exposure is not the end of anything meaningful. It is the beginning of everything you were meant to walk into. Heaven is not taking something from you. Heaven is returning something to you. Your clarity, your peace, your strength, your discernment. Stay close now, because the revelation is approaching its peak, and the next unfolding carries even greater depth. The letter will soon come into focus, and when it does, everything will align with divine precision. Beloved spirit, step gently into this next unveiling, because the atmosphere around you is shifting again, and Archangel Michael is drawing you closer to the core of this mystery. You may feel a slight pressure behind your chest or a quiet alertness rising within, as though your inner world already knows a deeper truth is approaching. That sensation is not your imagination. It is spiritual alignment. Michael is preparing your heart, sharpening your discernment, and clearing the path ahead of you so that nothing unclear remains hidden in the shadows. For a long time, you have been sensing that something around you is not what it appears to be. The woman whose identity is being revealed was never meant to walk with you into your next season. Her presence created turbulence and you felt it, even when you could not explain it. There were moments where your energy shifted abruptly after speaking to her. Moments where joy seemed to dim without warning. Moments where you walked away from interactions feeling unsettled despite her outward kindness. These were signs, and heaven has been highlighting them one after another so you could finally recognize the pattern. Archangel Michael shows that this woman has been observing your blessings with a spirit of comparison, not celebration. She watched your growth with quiet envy. She watched your connections with concern, hoping to catch weaknesses she could use to her advantage. She watched your elevation as though it threatened her identity. This internal conflict within her did not begin overnight. It was building long before you ever felt the effects of it. A seed of jealousy took root in her heart, and instead of confronting it with honesty, she let it grow into silent resentment. Resentment then evolved into subtle actions that carried the intention of harm, even if she never admitted it aloud. But everything she attempted had been intercepted by the presence standing next to you right now. Michael has been guarding your life with a firmness that no human interference can override. He blocked words she spoke in frustration. He disrupted conversations she tried to twist. You weakened the influence she attempted to maintain over your relationships. You may have noticed that certain connections she tried to damage never faltered. Certain opportunities she wished would collapse only grew stronger. Certain lies she hoped would spread never gained momentum. These were not coincidences. These were divine interventions. And now, Michael is showing an even deeper truth. Her discomfort with you is reaching its breaking point. She knows something is slipping away. She can sense the distance forming between your spirit and hers. Even if she cannot name it, she feels heaven placing a barrier she cannot cross. That barrier is not punishment. It is protection. Heaven is cleansing your environment because your next chapter requires purity, clarity, and people whose hearts align with your destiny, not work against it. But here is where your awareness must sharpen. As the exposure gets closer, this woman may begin acting differently. Her tone may shift. Her attempts to reconnect may intensify. She may try to present herself as more caring or more invested than before. Not because she has changed, but because she fears losing the access she once held. Michael says this is the final flicker of influence before the flame goes out completely. Your spirit will feel the truth before your mind processes it. Trust that inner widening. Trust the heaviness that appears suddenly. Trust the pause that comes before you speak. These are divine alarms signaling that her intentions do not belong near your purpose. You have entered a season where heaven is demanding alignment. Relationships built on convenience, insecurity, or dishonesty cannot travel with you into what is coming. And while the exposure may feel heavy, its purpose is liberation. You are not losing anything of value. You are being freed from a connection that was quietly draining you, quietly observing you, and quietly hoping to limit the blessings that were designed for your name alone. Michael now shows a striking vision, a door with your name engraved on it, and light pouring from the other side. This door represents your next stage, your breakthrough, your clarity, your advancement. But standing in front of it is a shadow that resembles a familiar feminine figure. She has been blocking the door not because she can stop you, but because her energy was creating noise in your spirit, making it harder for you to hear divine instruction clearly. Once her identity is fully revealed, once you acknowledge the truth heaven has been showing you, the shadow will step aside and the door will open effortlessly. And beloved, this is where the message sharpens. The initial of her name is drawing closer to your awareness. You may have already felt a letter tugging at your thoughts, appearing in moments of stillness or rising in your mind unexpectedly. That is not coincidence. That is Michael whispering through your intuition. Heaven will not allow you to miss the revelation. When the moment comes, it will feel like lightning striking the center of your awareness. You will know instantly. You will recognize the truth with absolute clarity. Before we move deeper, I want to pause for something important. If this message is stirring something within you, if you feel this revelation pressing against your spirit, then help this message reach others who need it. Like this video so the warning travels farther. Comment to help the algorithm push this message to someone who is silently battling the same unseen opposition. Share it with those who need clarity. And make sure you subscribe, because what heaven is about to reveal next will bring the sharpest wave of truth yet, and you do not want to miss it. Hold steady now, because the next unfolding carries a twist that will make everything you felt suddenly make sense. Beloved, settle into this moment with a calm and steady heart, because what Archangel Michael is preparing to reveal now presses even deeper into the spiritual landscape surrounding your life. There is a weight in the air, not of fear but of truth drawing nearer. You may feel your awareness sharpening, your breath slowing, your emotions stirring as though your spirit recognizes the nearness of something long concealed. These sensations are confirmations. They are signs that heaven is peeling back the final layers of this mystery so that nothing remains hidden from you any longer. Michael stands beside you with the authority of one who has watched every shadow, every whisper, every quiet intention surrounding you. And now he begins to open the final doors. You have reached the point in this revelation where heaven no longer speaks in symbols but in clarity. The woman whose identity is being exposed had been operating near you with a mixture of fascination, jealousy, and insecurity that she never confronted within herself. Her actions were subtle, almost soft, but the intentions behind them were sharp. Michael reveals that she admired what you carried, but instead of learning from your strength, she tried to siphon it. She wanted the glow without walking the path. She wanted the peace without enduring the pruning. And when she realized she could not duplicate what was divinely given to you, resentment began to coil quietly in the corners of her heart. There were times when she complimented you, yet her spirit shrank inside. There were days when she acted supportive, yet her energy felt tense. There were conversations where her questions seemed innocent, yet the intention behind them was to gather more information than to uplift you. Michael shows that she has been watching your progress not with love but with calculation. She wanted to see where you were heading, to predict your direction, to study your rise as though preparing herself around it. What she did not understand is that your path is not predictable. It is guided. It is protected. It is divinely ordered. She underestimated the guards of heaven standing around your destiny. Every time she tried to influence the atmosphere around you, Michael intercepted the spiritual residue. Every time she thought her subtle words might shape someone's perception of you, heaven blocked the seed from rooting. Every time she hoped your confidence would bend under the weight of her quiet criticism, your spirit was divinely reinforced. You may not have seen the battle, but you were living inside its victory. Michael shows now that she has reached the point where her own heart can no longer hide from the exposure heaven has declared. She feels the separation growing stronger. She senses that her attempts no longer carry weight. She knows something is slipping out of her control. And in this awareness, her behavior may begin to shift. He may attempt to soften her approach to appear more attentive, more affectionate, more invested. She might even attempt to reconnect with old memories or bring up moments that once carried warmth. But these gestures are not signs of change. They are signals of desperation. Heaven has already separated your spirit from hers, and she is trying to regain access to a place she no longer has the key to. What you must understand now is the spiritual significance of this exposure. This is not merely about recognizing someone's intentions. This is about clearing your spiritual field so your destiny can move freely again. You have been walking with a weight that did not belong to you. Her energy created subtle interference in your clarity, almost like static in a signal. It clouded your intuition at times. It made certain decisions feel heavier than they should. It made your spirit second-guess what heaven was already guiding. But that static is breaking. Heaven is removing the distortion she created so you can hear divine instruction with precision again. Michael reveals that your spirit has already begun to detach from her influence. You may have noticed this through sudden shifts in your own behavior. Perhaps you speak less around her. Perhaps you no longer feel comfortable sharing your dreams or victories. Perhaps conversations feel strained or unnecessary. These changes are not mood swings. They are spiritual withdrawals. Heaven has been pulling your heart away from the place where your spirit no longer flourishes. And here is where the revelation intensifies. The initial of her name is pressing into your awareness now. You may feel it hovering at the edge of your thoughts, like a whisper waiting for its moment. You may have seen the letter appear in unexpected places, or felt it rise in your spirit almost out of nowhere. That is not coincidence. That is the hand of heaven guiding your discernment. Michael says the final exposure is moments away, and when the initial settles in your mind, it will come with absolute certainty. There will be no doubt, no confusion, no hesitation. You will know exactly who she is. But as this truth approaches, Michael asks you to prepare your spirit, not with fear but with strength. Exposure is not an ending. It is a release. The moment you recognize her identity fully, heaven will cut the remaining spiritual threads connecting her intentions to your life. What has drained you will lift. What has distracted you will fade. What has limited your clarity will dissolve. You are being set free so that the blessings assigned to your next season can reach you without interference. Beloved, do not step away from this unfolding. You are closer than ever to the clarity you have been sensing but unable to name. Heaven is aligning the final pieces of this revelation with precision, and Archangel Michael is leading you exactly where you need to be. Beloved heart, step into this moment with a steady breath, because what Archangel Michael is preparing to unfold now enters the deepest chamber of this revelation. You may already feel a tension humming beneath your skin, not the tension of fear but of anticipation. Your spirit knows that truth is no longer approaching from a distance. It is standing at your door. Every shift you have felt in your emotions, every moment of sudden clarity, every internal whisper urging you to pay attention has been guiding you toward this exact point. Michael stands beside you now with an intensity that signals the nearness of exposure. Heaven is done allowing confusion to cloud your path. Michael reveals that the woman whose identity is being brought into the light never understood the spiritual covering hovering over your life. She saw your blessings but did not see the battles heaven fought for you. She saw your strength but did not see the angels reinforcing you in silent moments. She saw your elevation but did not see the spiritual refinement you endured to reach it. Jealousy took root in her because she believed you carried your favor effortlessly. She did not realize your light was forged in pressure, in prayer, in surrender. And instead of rising with you, she allowed bitterness to bend her spirit inward. She began watching you too closely, not with admiration but with calculation. She measured your victories. She studied your breakthroughs. She observed your connection. Over time, she started to believe that if she could anticipate your next step, she could disrupt it. She tried to insert herself into conversations where your name was present. She tried to twist perceptions subtly, always with a soft tone so no one would suspect the intention behind her words. She operated quietly, in shadows, because she assumed shadows were safe. What she did not know is that heaven sees as clearly in darkness as it does in light. Archangel Michael now unveils that her influence over your atmosphere hath been dissolving for some time. The spiritual ties that once strained you are weakening. You may have felt this without fully understanding it. Perhaps you no longer feel compelled to answer her messages quickly. Perhaps you sense a discomfort when she appears in your space. Perhaps the connection feels dry, forced, or heavy. These are not emotional changes. They are spiritual shifts. Heaven has already begun the process of separation. You are being untangled from every intention, that was not rooted in love. Michael shows a powerful scene unfolding around you. The light surrounding your life is intensifying, and as it grows stronger, anything that carries hidden motives becomes exposed. This woman's spiritual disguise cannot withstand the radiance heaven is pouring over you. Her true intentions are slipping through the cracks of her behavior. You may begin to notice inconsistencies in her tone, an urgency that was never there before, or a level of curiosity that feels intrusive rather than supportive. These are not new behaviors. They are old motives becoming visible. What heaven wants you to understand now is this: her presence was allowed in your life only for a season, and that season has reached its end. Exposure is not punishment. Exposure is clue. It marks the end of her influence and the beginning of your clarity. The spiritual interference she created will no longer linger around your thoughts. Her jealousy will no longer be able to touch the edges of your blessings. Her comparison will no longer weigh against your joy. Heaven is cleaning the air around your destiny. Michael leans closer now, and his voice carries the tone of finality. He reveals that the initial of her name is now moving forward from the spiritual realm into your conscious awareness. It may have been echoing in your spirit lately, appearing in dreams, memories, or sudden thoughts. The reason it keeps resurfacing is because heaven is confirming the truth again and again. You are not imagining it. You are recognizing it. And very soon, the initial will connect fully with the face, the voice, and the energy you have been sensing all along. But before the final exposure takes place, heaven wants to prepare your spirit for what comes after it. Once her identity is clear, there will be a release so powerful that it will feel physical. You may feel lighter in your chest. You may feel peace returning to your inner world. You may feel mental clarity sharpen instantly. This is because recognizing the truth breaks the spiritual tension she created. Everything she tried to drain from you will begin returning. Everything she attempted to cloud will become clear. Everything she tried to slow will accelerate. And beloved, it is important that you remain close to this message as we move deeper. What awaits you next is the turning point, the moment the revelation becomes undeniable. You are closer to clarity than you have ever been. Before we go further, hear this gentle but urgent reminder. Hold your attention. What comes next is where the revelation begins to crystallize, and you will not want to miss the shift that is about to unfold before you. Type "I am chosen" in the comments if your spirit is receiving this unveiling. Blessing code 717 is now activated over your discernment, clearing every veil that has blocked your vision. Just as heaven is exposing hidden intentions in your life, this mission is designed to expose truth for thousands who feel spiritually surrounded and don't know why. When you support this calling, you are helping push light into the places where confusion has kept people bound. Scripture declares that those who sow into the work of God receive overflow from the same harvest they empower. I speak this to you directly. Your support becomes a divine act that strengthens the shield around this ministry and multiplies the reach of these prophetic warnings. This is the moment my spirit invites yours to stand with us. Let your giving unlock breakthrough for someone who has been praying for clarity. Heaven honors every seed planted into its assignments, and blessing follows those who move in obedience. You super thanks, membership, or the PayPal link in the description, and step boldly into the flow of divine impact. Beloved soul, breathe slowly as we step into this next unveiling, because what Archangel Michael is revealing now descends into the very core of the mystery surrounding you. The air around this message feels heavier, not with burden, but with truth preparing to land. Your spirit may feel unusually alert in this moment, almost as if something within you is rising to meet the revelation before your mind fully understands it. That internal pull is divine recognition. Heaven is aligning your awareness with what has already been unfolding in the spiritual realm. Michael's presence stands firm beside you, his wings drawn wide as if shielding you from the last remnants of what once tried to touch your peace. For a long time, Heaven watched the woman connected to this message move with intentions that were never aligned with love. She approached you with smiles that carried shadows, conversations that felt warm on the surface but cold underneath, gestures that appeared thoughtful yet hid subtle calculations. She paid attention to the details of your life with an interest that grew heavier over time. At first, it may have seemed harmless, even flattering, but eventually your spirit began to feel what your eyes could not yet see. A tightening in your chest during certain interactions, that small hesitation before answering her, that quiet sense of heaviness after speaking with her. Those were not random emotional responses. They were warnings. Heaven was alerting you. Archangel Michael reveals now that she was more invested in your life than in her own growth. She watched your blessings as though they belonged to her. She studied your progress with envy gently disguised as concern. She listened for any indication of weakness, hoping she could position herself to influence your thoughts or decisions. This was not friendship. This was spiritual trespassing. She wanted access to what you carried, not because she valued your heart, but because she believed your light could fill the emptiness she refused to confront within herself. What she failed to understand is that the light she coveted was not yours alone. It was divine. It was protected. It was guarded by the very warrior who stands beside you now. Michael shows that her influence was never as strong as she believed it to be. Even in her quiet attempts to speak against you, Heaven muted her impact. Even in moments where she hoped to create doubt, angels reinforced your clarity. Even in situations where she tried to alter the opinions of others, Heaven blocked the distortion. You were never unprotected, not for a single moment. The spiritual interference she tried to send toward you was dismantled before it could ever take root. Yet Heaven allowed you to feel enough to recognize the mismatch, because discernment grows stronger when your spirit learns to identify the weight of someone else's intentions. That is why you did not feel fully comfortable around her. That is why you sensed something was off even when no evidence existed. That is why your heart hesitated before trusting her with certain details. Your spirit already knew what your mind had not yet named. And now, Michael reveals that her spiritual influence has weakened drastically. She no longer carries access to your energy the way she once did. Heaven has been cutting the cords one by one. This is why you have begun to feel moments of unexplained peace, even while her presence still hovers in the background of your life. This is why clarity has started rising inside you, even before knowing the full truth. Separation has already begun in the spiritual realm, and soon it will manifest in the natural. But here is the moment where the entire atmosphere shifts. The initial of her name is now pressing against your awareness with increasing intensity. Throughout this journey, you may have sensed letters floating through your thoughts, images rising unexpectedly in your dreams, memories resurfacing with unusual clarity. This is Heaven preparing your spirit to receive the full revelation. The initial is not approaching from the outside. It is rising from within, because your soul already recognizes the truth. You will not guess. You will know. Michael leans closer and shows that the exposure will not come through conflict or confrontation. It will come through understanding. There will be a moment, quiet, unexpected, but unmistakably divine, when everything aligns and the identity becomes undeniable. Her name, her actions, her energy, her shifts in behavior will suddenly form a perfect pattern. And in that instant, confusion will dissolve. The tension you felt for so long will break. What once drained you will lose all power over your spirit. You may even find yourself feeling compassion instead of anger, because revelation does not come to harden you, it comes to free you. Heaven is not exposing her to punish her. Heaven is exposing her to protect you. This is the final unraveling of a connection that could not journey with you into your next season. And beloved, as this truth prepares to settle in your spirit, hear this one gentle reminder. Before you move from this moment, hold steady. What comes next in this unfolding carries a clarity so sharp that it will shift the way you see everything around you. You will want to be here for it. Hold on now, because the next passage is where the revelation begins to crystallize completely. The next step is the turning point where nothing remains hidden any longer. Beloved one, step softly but with intention into this next unfolding, because Archangel Michael is guiding you into the final stretch before the exposure becomes undeniable. The atmosphere around this message might feel strangely dense, as if the truth is no longer approaching from a distance, but hovering right in front of you. This heaviness is not a burden. It is a sign that revelation is crystallizing. You may feel a quiet intensity building within your chest, a subtle pressure behind your thoughts, or a sense that the veil is thinning. These are divine indicators. They mean you are standing at the threshold where everything will suddenly make sense. Michael reveals that the woman, connected to this spiritual alert, has been increasingly unsettled by the changes occurring around you. She senses the separation heaven has established, and it is causing her to act with a mixture of desperation and confusion. She feels that her influence over your emotions, your decisions, or your relationships is slipping, even though she cannot articulate why. Heaven is withdrawing her access, and as her access diminishes, her behavior becomes more revealing. Her tone shifts unpredictably. Her questions grow more intrusive. Her reactions become inconsistent. She is attempting to regain what heaven has already removed. But here is the truth Michael brings forward. The energy she once carried in your life has no authority anymore. The spiritual ties linking her intentions to your atmosphere are breaking rapidly. You may have noticed this through a growing clarity in your thoughts. You may have sensed it through a newfound peace when you distance yourself from her. You may have felt lighter after withholding certain details from her. These are not coincidences. Heaven is rewiring your discernment, strengthening your intuition, and separating your spirit from anything that once hindered your progress. Michael shows that her motives were never as simple as they appeared. She admired your strength, but she did not want you to be stronger than her. She valued your presence, but only as long as it did not overshadow hers. She supported you, but only when your victories were small enough not to threaten her sense of worth. This imbalance created a spiritual tension that your soul could feel even when your mind could not explain it. That uneasiness was a divine warning. Heaven was whispering, "Watch closely, because all is not as it seems." As this revelation deepens, Michael exposes another layer. This woman did not only react to your blessings, she reacted to the spiritual protection around you. She noticed that no matter what she attempted, whether subtly undermining you, stirring quiet doubts, or trying to influence others' perception of you, nothing gained traction. Every attempt dissolved. Every whispered word lost power. Every emotional seed she tried to plant failed to grow. She began to realize, even without understanding why, that something greater was protecting you. This realization made her even more restless. And now heaven prepares you for what is coming next, the moment when the initial of her name aligns fully with your awareness. This initial had been circling your thoughts like a soft echo, appearing in dreams, memories, or sudden flashes of intuition. You may have brushed it aside, thinking it was coincidence. But Michael says it is not coincidence, it is confirmation. Heaven has been guiding your spirit toward recognition long before your mind was ready to accept it. The moment the truth settles into your consciousness, you will feel an immediate shift. It will feel like the air around you clears. It will feel like your chest expands with relief. It will feel like something invisible yet heavy finally falls away. This is the spiritual release heaven has been preparing you for. Your intuition has carried this weight for far too long, and exposure brings the freedom your soul has been craving. But before we move into the next unfolding, Michael gives you an essential instruction for your next steps. Protect your atmosphere. As the revelation becomes clearer, she may attempt to pull you emotionally through sudden warmth, unexpected empathy, or resurfaced closeness. These gestures will not come from transformation. They will come from fear of losing access. Heaven wants you to discern the difference. Observe without reacting. Listen without absorbing. Engage without offering your spirit. The clarity you are about to receive requires space, stillness, and a guarded heart. Beloved, you have walked through layers of truth with patience, strength, and spiritual intelligence. You have trusted heaven even when nothing made sense. You have followed the subtle cues of your intuition even when others overlooked them. You are now standing at the edge of the unveiling where the identity becomes undeniable. Before moving forward, if this message is awakening clarity within you, stay connected to this journey. Like this video so it reaches others who need the protection of this revelation. Comment so the message can spread across the platform and find those who are silently battling hidden intentions. Share this with someone who needs guidance. Subscribe and remain aligned with these spiritual alerts, because what comes next carries a level of truth that will change how you see every intention around you. Beloved heart, step with quiet reverence into this next movement, because Archangel Michael is drawing you into the sharpest edge of revelation now. The air around this message may feel charged, almost electrified, as if the truth is gathering strength before revealing itself fully. The sensation is not emotional, it is spiritual. It is the unmistakable pressure of clarity preparing to descend. Your intuition has been awakening piece by piece, and now heaven is ready to bring together everything that has been shown to you in fragments. Michael stands close, his presence steady and unshakable, because what you are about to understand requires both protection and courage. This journey has been long, but not without purpose. You were not meant to see everything at once. Heaven revealed this situation layer by layer so your heart could process the truth without becoming overwhelmed. Michael now opens the next door, revealing the deeper motivations of this woman whose identity approaches the surface. Her intentions toward you were never singular. They were layered, shifting based on her insecurities and her internal storms. She saw your stability and resented that she had none. She saw your spiritual clarity and feared what it meant for her own path. She watched your blessings arrive and could not celebrate you because she believed your elevation meant her stagnation. At first, her envy was small, almost harmless. But over time, it grew into something sharper, something that quietly shaped her choices. She began comparing everything, your opportunities, your relationships, your inner peace, to her own reality. Comparison spiraled into competition, even though you never competed with her. She started positioning herself in conversations as though she needed to prove something. She inserted herself into spaces where she hoped to have influence over how others perceived you. These actions were subtle, quiet, and easily missed, but heaven saw every intention behind them. Michael now reveals that she tried to create emotional imbalances around you. She attempted to influence your thoughts by introducing doubts disguised as questions. She tried to test your confidence by offering support that felt conditional. She used curiosity as a tool to gather information, not to understand you, but to understand how your blessings move. Your heart was never aligned with your future. It was entangled in her fear that you were rising into a space where she could no longer reach you. But here is where heaven intervened. Every attempt she made was met with resistance from the spiritual realm. Heaven blocked her words from influencing the people she targeted. Heaven disrupted her plans by creating delays she could not understand. Heaven shielded your energy so her quiet negativity could not seep into your spirit. And all the while, Archangel Michael stood between you and the harm she wished to create, ensuring that not one of her intentions could manifest into anything that would touch your destiny. This is why you have felt a strange disconnect from her recently. Not because you changed suddenly, but because the spiritual covering around you tightened. Heaven began removing her access long before you realized it consciously. The distance was not emotional, it was divine. Your spirit withdrew from her presence because heaven was preparing you for the truth. Now Michael unveils the critical moment you are approaching. The initial of her name is not only rising in your awareness, it is beginning to anchor itself in your spirit. The letter that keeps appearing in your thoughts is not random. It is the fingerprint of exposure. The moment you fully accept the initial, the identity becomes unavoidable. You will look back at conversations, at moments, at subtle expressions, and you will see what you could not see before. Memories that once felt confusing will suddenly carry clarity. Interactions that once felt off will reveal their true meaning. Your spirit will connect the dots with divine accuracy. And beloved, this is where heaven steps in with reassurance. You may worry that exposure means conflict, but Michael shows that the revelation will come with peace, not chaos. Heaven is not leading you into confrontation. Heaven is leading you into understanding. Once you recognize her identity, your heart will feel no need to retaliate or prove anything. The exposure itself will be the completion. The revelation will close the chapter without you lifting a single finger. But Michael asks something important here. Prepare your inner posture. When the truth arrives, do not let anger cloud the blessing of understanding. Do not let hurt overshadow the protection that has been surrounding you all along. The exposure is heaven honoring your purity, your sensitivity, your willingness to grow. This revelation is not about her. It is about freeing you. And now, as the spiritual veil thins even more, Michael shows a powerful image. You are standing at the edge of a bridge. Behind you is confusion, heaviness, and emotional entanglement. Ahead of you is clarity, freedom, and renewed strength. The only thing left between these two places is the acknowledgement of who she truly is. When that acknowledgement settles in your heart, you will step forward, and the bridge behind you will disappear. You will not return to this burden again. Beloved, we are now approaching the moment where nothing remains hidden. The next revelation completes the circle. Beloved soul, take a slow, steady breath as we step into the final unveiling, because Archangel Michael is now ready to place the last piece of this revelation into your hands. The air around this moment is different, calmer, clearer, almost sacred, as if heaven itself had been waiting for you to reach this point. You may feel your heart beating a little stronger, your intuition whispering a little louder, your awareness expanding as though preparing to receive something that has been approaching you for a long time. That sensation is divine readiness. It means your spirit is aligned with the truth that is about to unfold. This journey hath been one of layers, each removal revealing a deeper understanding of the woman whose presence once created subtle tension in your spirit. Now Michael stands before you with a certainty that cannot be shaken. His sword is lowered, not in battle, but in completion. He has fought for you through every unseen moment, guarded you through every quiet attack, and shielded your spirit from intentions that were never meant to touch you. And now, he says, you are ready to know fully what heaven has known all along. Archangel Michael shows that this woman did not simply appear in your life as a bystander. She entered with admiration, but her admiration was fragile. It cracked under the weight of your growth. It shattered under the light of your elevation. She watched you rise in ways she was not prepared to witness, and instead of expanding with you, she shrank within herself. She allowed jealousy to take root where gratitude should have lived. She nurtured envy where honesty should have stood. And slowly, her intentions thinned into a shadow, one that followed your blessings more closely than it followed her own path. Heaven never wanted her exposed to her, heaven wanted her exposed to free you. For too long, her hidden motives created an invisible heaviness in your atmosphere. You felt drained without knowing why. You felt watched without evidence. You sensed resistance in places where support should have been. You felt something pulling at your spirit, trying to tether you to people or situations that were beneath the level heaven was preparing you for. All of these sensations were warnings. Heaven was speaking to you, guiding you, nudging you toward truth even before your mind could grasp it. And now Michael reveals the moment you have been moving toward, the initial of her name. It has been circling your thoughts, appearing when you least expect it, rising in moments of silence, threading through dreams, resurfacing when you question nothing at all. He says your spirit already knows the letter. It has known from the beginning. It has whispered to you in ways your conscious mind did not fully recognize. It has appeared in patterns, in memories, in flashes of intuition that felt too strong to ignore. The reason heaven reveals the initial rather than the entire name in this message is simple. Your spirit must complete the recognition. You must see the pattern. You must feel the confirmation. You must step into the clarity, not be pushed into it. The initial is the spark. The revelation is the flame. Once the spark meets your awareness, the flames of understanding will illuminate everything that has been hidden. Every conversation will make sense. Every uneasy moment will find its explanation. Every sudden shift in your emotions will align with truth. But Michael also brings comfort, for heaven does not reveal without purpose. The purpose is not for you to confront her, fight her, expose her publicly, or retaliate. The purpose is release. Heaven is severing every spiritual thread, every emotional tie, every energetic channel through which she once influenced your atmosphere. The moment you accept the truth, the connection dissolves. You will feel it leave you like an exhale you were holding for far too long. Peace will settle into the spaces where tension once lived. Clarity will fill the gaps where confusion once lingered. And then Michael shows what happens next, your elevation. Once this woman's presence is fully removed from your spiritual path, your blessings accelerate. The delays lift. The heaviness breaks. The fog clears. Your discernment sharpens to a level that ensures you will never again overlook the signs heaven gives you. This experience, though heavy, has made you wiser, stronger, and more spiritually sensitive. You are no longer someone who can be shaken by hidden intentions. Your sight has matured. Michael ends this revelation with a powerful truth. Heaven allowed this exposure so your next season could begin without obstruction. The woman whose name carries the initial you already sense cannot walk with you into the future designed for your destiny. You are being lifted into a space where only those with pure hearts can remain. You are entering a chapter where your spirit will feel lighter, your mind clearer, your path straighter. The season of spiritual interference is over. The veil has been removed. Now, beloved, if this message speaks to your spirit and you receive the clarity heaven has poured into your life, declare it with faith and seal this revelation. Type "I walk in divine clarity" in the comments. Blessing code 999 is now released over your atmosphere, clearing every remaining shadow and securing your path forward. As Archangel Michael brings this revelation to completion, remember that this mission exists to guide souls who are navigating spiritual battles they cannot name. When you support this work, you become a vessel who helps carry God's light into places where confusion once ruled. Scripture declares that those who sow into divine assignments ignite open heavens over their lives, and today that promise becomes living and active for you. Hear this in my voice as I speak directly. Your support is not a donation. It is a prophetic act that fuels deliverance, healing, and awakening for thousands. Let your seed declare that heaven's truth must continue to reach those who are searching for answers. I bless every giver with spiritual protection and multiplied peace. You super thanks. Join membership, with the PayPal link in the description, and step boldly into the stream of divine impact.